NAG protection against toxic connections. This seems like an obvious one where we're going to look deeply into first identifying toxicity. Where is there toxicity in your life, in your relationship, in your work, in your finances, in your thought forms, the patterns that are coming up within you? So, what I'd like to invite you to do is just really to assess your system, assess every part of your life. Where do you feel toxicity is playing out in your life? What patterns are there? And then ask the system to show what patterns are there from the ancestors, from your parents' relationship, from your parents' connection with each other, from your connection with your parents, from their connection with finances. Are you independent? Did they set you free? Where is the toxicity in your system? And then, as I say, where is it in your life? Where is it in your life? So in this webinar, I want to focus on where are the patterns which are still active in you around self-abandonment, self-neglect, um, against God, against yourself, self-hatred, where you can't face yourself, where you're maybe cursing yourself. What is in your system where you're not, abandoning yourself and criticizing yourself or resentful to yourself? All these are very important to address, and maybe they're coming, playing out through mirrors of people around you. But I'd like to go really deep into this topic and see what is in your energetic field, which is creating or allowing doors to open to allow toxicity into you in connections, in finances, in relationships, in health. So, where's the toxicity entering your system, and where is it first in you? So this webinar, we're going to work through the different levels or the gates that open up around toxicity because they're in ourselves. And then we'll start closing them and clearing it from the fields around us too. So I'm very excited to see how this develops. And I never really know what's going to happen in the webinar until it happens, holding space for the group and see what activates within the group field. So what I'm getting as we're close to it is that we're going to be working very deeply to reconnect with our own natural divine intelligence within us and the divine intelligence around us, and then accepting all distortion which we've worked through already up to now. So, for example, we've worked through all the webinars over the years and in our own systems through different trauma that our toxic relationships with ourselves, with our friends, with our partner, or with our children, as a child, ancestral toxicity, genetic imprints. So we have done a lot of that work already. So I'd like to bring the results of that work in this webinar and to break free and to go back to our divine intelligence, the divine blueprint without toxicity. That is self-love, not self-harm. And that is not allowing abuse into the system. So we're going to work on a very deep, deep level of going back into your inner self and then just accepting what distortion, what toxic imprints are in you, what toxicity is accessing you, what toxic patterns are active in your subconsciousness or in the way you think or speak about yourself or your life or your behavior. Or it could be, for example, setting yourself up for failure, maybe going too extreme in your work, for example, putting unrealistic goals in the system and using that as a way to beat oneself or harm oneself or abandon oneself by going, not being realistic with your goals could be another form of toxicity. So where are we self-harming ourselves and where are we putting ourselves down or where are we people pleasing to, self-abandoning ourselves? So this is a very important subject to work with and very important to address for ourselves, for our health, for our self relationship and self love with ourselves, and to really go back into wholeness and respect and dignity. And as the field of the collective wound of toxicity is very active in the collective field, the shadow work, it's a brilliant time to work deeply in our own systems because it's going to open up all the toxicity which is in ourselves and in the epigenetics, the bloodline. So this is what we're going to be working with over the weekend. And I look forward to seeing you there if you want to be part of it. And we remember who we are and we bring self-love and stop setting ourselves up for failure, for criticism, for blame, for health conditions, and to start really bringing balance in, dignity in, self-love, self-respect, and to really enjoy and nourish life within yourselves and honor also and receive balance on all levels, including your friendships, your relationships, your finances, your health on all levels. So this is a little bit about what we'll be working with in this webinar. I invite you to be part of it. If you can't make it live over the weekend, it will be in the Academy. Just like everything in the Academy, it's there at different levels of consciousness, and each one will open up different patterns, and we're designed really brought through to represent different imprints or wounds that we all carry, and then to resolve it. So yeah, feel free to look through the Academy, and yeah, I'll see you over the weekend otherwise. Okay, have a beautiful day. Thank you.